My uncle lay peacefully in his room as I stumbled upon a revelation that would change everything, an infidelity story waiting to unfold. Sophie is my name, and I am 22 years of age. One might find themselves curious about how a girl of my age comes to reside with her uncle, particularly in light of the story I am about to unfold. To be truthful, I never envisioned that this would come to pass either. My days are consumed by the vibrant world of graphic design, where I immerse myself in drawing, crafting designs, and engaging in freelance projects. Life has presented its challenges ever since my parents parted ways during my childhood. I traversed various places in search of a sense of stability. In the end, I found myself residing with my Uncle Michael. It was never intended to unfold this way. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, allowing me to share even more captivating true stories such as this one. Be sure to watch this video all the way through and give it a thumbs up, as the story unfolding is bound to captivate your interest. Kindly press the like button to express your support. The journey began when my mother departed for work, leaving me in search of a place to reside as I completed my college studies. Michael, my uncle, stood as the sole beacon of support within my family. He has shared his life with his wife, Elizabeth, for several years now. In the serene embrace of the countryside, they reside in a stunning house, a world away from the bustling city. I envisioned it as merely a fleeting relocation to a serene haven, yet the reality unfolded in ways I had not anticipated. Several months passed, and I believed I had acclimated to the house, the rhythm of daily life, and the tranquility it offered, or so I presumed. Yet today, an event unfolded, one that compels me to share. The moment I stepped into Michael's room, he lay there, lost in slumber. Before I delve into the details, be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep yourself informed about the unfolding narrative. Allow me to share a glimpse into the life of Michael. He stands apart from the typical uncles. In my eyes, he has consistently embodied the role of a mentor rather than that of a family member. In my formative years, he guided me through the art of riding a bike, imparted skills for repairing various items around the house, and generously gifted me my first car upon reaching the age of 18. Thus, when my mother found herself in need of someone to welcome me, Michael emerged as the clear and natural option. He possesses a deep sense of thoughtfulness, an abundance of patience, and a remarkable kindness that shines through in all he does. Yet it wasn't solely him I was preparing to share my space with. Elizabeth, his wife, had been a part of the scene for some time now. 2 years have passed since their marriage, and initially, I harbored some doubts about her. She was older than Michael, and there was something about her that made me feel like an intruder in their home. At first, I took refuge in the guest room tucked away at the far end of the house, making a conscious effort to remain unobtrusive. As time passed, the initial awkwardness faded, and Elizabeth began to share her insights on cooking, cleaning, and various household matters. We were not best friends, yet it lacked the intensity it once held. I believed that circumstances were improving. However, of late, I've observed something that eludes my understanding. As the moments unfolded in Michael's presence, an undeniable pull towards him began to weave itself into the fabric of my thoughts. His smiles, the fleeting brush of his hand, and the way his gaze lingered on me when he believed I was lost in thought. It had an unmistakable quality about it. It was impossible to overlook. A palpable tension started to weave itself between us. A force that felt inescapable. I can sense your thoughts.
Sophie.
What are you referring to? He is your uncle. It seems utterly absurd. I am aware. This bond is inescapable. I attempted to dismiss it casually. I convinced myself it was merely a figment of my imagination. Yet, whenever we found ourselves in solitude, the air crackled with an undeniable energy. It felt as though an unseen force was drawing us closer. This is the moment when the intrigue begins to unfold. One evening, following dinner, I found myself engrossed in a project within the confines of my room when the sound of footsteps echoed through the hallway. Michael had drifted into a deep slumber for what felt like an eternity. Elizabeth was out with friends, leaving us alone. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I heard the door to his bedroom creak open. I froze for a moment, uncertain whether to let him rest or step inside. Yet an invisible force drew me closer. Gently, I opened the door, careful not to disturb him. He lay on his back, one arm tucked behind his head, exuding an air of tranquility. In slumber, the gentle glow from the window draped soft shadows across his features, rendering him nearly ethereal. I lingered in that moment. My heart is racing. A warm rush spread across my cheeks. My heart raced. I had never experienced such feelings before. Perhaps I simply desired to gaze upon him, or perhaps it was something deeper. I was unaware. My reverie was abruptly shattered as I inadvertently toppled a vase beside his bed. The noise caused Michael to awaken. He opened his eyes. In that fleeting instant, our eyes met with an intensity that felt electric. His eyes were clouded with confusion. Yet there exists another element. 2. Something elusive, a feeling I struggled to define. He blinked several times, as if trying to clear the fog from his mind, focusing on myself, then released a sleepy chuckle. "Sophie, what brings you to this place?" he inquired. His voice was heavy with the remnants of slumber. My heart raced as I grappled with the elusive words I sought. I wished to avoid the appearance of prying into others' affairs, yet I found myself at a loss for words to articulate my thoughts. My mouth felt parched. I had no intention of disturbing your slumber. I stumbled over my words, overwhelmed by a sense of embarrassment. Michael gradually lifted himself into an upright position. He rubbed his eyes. He offered me a smile, the identical sort, the smile of the patient he always offered. Yet today, a distinct spark flickered within his gaze. A moment that quickened my pulse. He regarded me intently for a brief moment before he chose to speak once more. "It's perfectly fine," he spoke softly. "Feel free to share anything with me at any time. Sophie, I stand ready to support you." I inclined my head in agreement. Yet, my thoughts were in a whirlwind. This unfamiliar sensation left me at a loss for how to respond. The atmosphere in the room was thick with an unspoken weight. My breath quickened, each inhale more urgent than the last. I simply wished to engage in conversation. I murmured. Michael's smile dimmed ever so slightly. I fancied I caught a fleeting hesitation in his gaze before it disappeared entirely. He beckoned to the space beside him on the bed. "Approach me. Subsequently, feel free to reach out to me anytime." He spoke with warmth. I lingered in that spot for a brief moment, uncertain, yet an undeniable force within me urged me onward. In a moment of pure instinct, I took my place beside him. The air crackled with unspoken tension between us. Weightier than before, the warmth of his body pressed against mine was palpable. The scent of his cologne wafted through the air. Our proximity was such that I could hear the rhythm of his breathing and sense the gentle rise and fall of his chest with every inhalation. Once more, my heart raced. And gradually, nearly in a state of slow motion, I gazed up at him. Our faces hovered near, and I could sense the heat radiating from him. His eyes held a gentle warmth, uncertain, yet there lingered an additional element, a flicker that sent shivers across my skin. "Sophie, are you all right?" Michael inquired softly. Prior to my response, I drew nearer to him. My heart raced, and my breath hitched in my chest. Words failed to capture it, yet all sensations seemed to pulse with an extraordinary fervor. The atmosphere seemed to hum with an electric energy. Michael remained steadfast, refusing to withdraw. His gaze locked onto mine, brimming with a silent fervor. He remained silent, yet his breath grew rapid, reflecting my own. The atmosphere in the room grew noticeably warmer. The stillness that enveloped us grew heavier with the weight of unvoiced thoughts. My thoughts swirled in a chaotic dance. All events had converged to bring forth this pivotal instant. I found myself unable to resist. Gingerly, I inched closer. My lips quivered, as though I were lost in a dream. They grazed against his. Initially, there was a sense of ambiguity, uncertain. Yet in that moment, as our lips intertwined, delicate and tender, I found myself unable to restrain my impulses. My thoughts clamored for me to cease, yet my body would not comply. This was essential for me. This is what I desired. Michael's hand gently cradled my cheek, compelling me to draw near. His other hand lay gently beside us, caressing my skin. The warmth of his touch enveloped me. The kiss grew more intense, and soon it became difficult to discern the boundary between his lips and mine. All else faded away. Only the two of us remained, ensnared by this inescapable bond. My thoughts swirled in a tempest of uncertainty, remorse. Yet, there lingered an odd feeling of correctness. What were we engaged in? What made it seem so essential? Words failed to capture the essence of it. There is no rationale to support it. He withdrew for a brief instant, his forehead gently pressed against mine. Our breaths came in labored gasps. Every breath trembles, drawn out and deliberate. His pulse throbbed against my skin, a rhythmic reminder of life itself, in harmony with the swift rhythm of my own heartbeat.
Sophie.
His voice carried a gentle softness, burdened by an underlying weight. It is not advisable. Yet, uncertainty lingered within me. Indeed, I consented. A part of me stubbornly rejected any rationale for halting my progress. Gradually, I extended my hand toward his, entwining my fingers with his. He remained close, his fingers entwined with mine, clinging to each other with an intensity that mirrored our shared connection. Our gazes intertwined, and for an extended moment, silence enveloped us. The burden of it all lingered in the space between us. Ought we to consider this? Is it possible for us to? My hand, driven by an unspoken urge, found its way to the nape of his neck. Drawing him nearer, I pressed my lips to his once more. This moment, there was an unwavering certainty. Embrace courage, the all-consuming desire to remain near him, to sense his essence. Michael's fingers glided along my spine, pulling me nearer. The connection between our bodies rendered every sensation profoundly intense. I found myself uncertain of the direction this was taking, yet I remained indifferent. I longed to remain in this fleeting instant where just the two of us were present. My heart raced within me as his lips brushed against my neck. Delicate kisses brushed against my skin. His breath brushed softly against my ear. A chill runs down my spine. It was a sensation unlike any I had ever experienced. Personal, engaging, and profoundly misguided, yet exhilarating in a manner I couldn't quite articulate. "Are you certain about this?" He whispered softly against my skin, his voice heavy with longing. "My intention is not to cause you any pain." With my eyes gently shut, I embraced the stillness around me, in search of my unique expression. Every fiber of my being urged me to halt, to withdraw, yet I found myself unable to do so. The yearning was overwhelming. The necessity is overwhelming. My mind craved a reprieve from thought. I had no desire to challenge anything. All I desired was to be by his side. "I am certain," I spoke softly. My fingers glided across his chest, experiencing the gentle heat of his skin under my touch. "This is what I desire. Michael, I desire you." Once more, his lips sought out mine. This time, the kiss delved deeper, increasingly pressing. The path ahead was irrevocably set. The realm beyond these walls held no significance. It was solely the emotions he evoked within me, yearned for, essential, and vibrant in a manner I had never encountered previously. The walls of the room appeared to constrict, enveloping us in an intimate embrace. The light faded, deepening the bond that tethered us together. Each caress, each kiss resonated with the unspoken assurance of deeper connections yet to unfold. It was an enigma that eluded our grasp, yet we stand poised, eager to embark on our journey of discovery. His heartbeat resonated steadily with my own, harmonizing with the cadence of my essence. Yet, a fragment of my being continued to resist the undeniable truth of the unfolding events. A significantly greater portion of my being yielded entirely. It had transcended the mere act of kissing. It transcended mere description. It was a bond that eluded my understanding, a connection that transcended mere language. "This desire has lingered within me for an eternity," Michael murmured softly. His breath lingered, warm against my lips. His words were a distant echo, barely registering as my hands explored the contours of his form. experiencing the sinews and fibers that lie just beneath the surface of his skin. The warmth of his presence. His response to me was quite telling. Yet, the path ahead was irrevocable. The magnetic force between us drew us ever nearer, in a manner that took us both by surprise. Time appeared to freeze as we immersed ourselves in one another. Within the gentle cadence of our embraces, the gentle heat of our caresses. For the first time, everything seemed to fall into place. In the quiet of the room, we transcended the roles of uncle and niece. We were two souls intertwined by a connection that transcended the ordinary. It was an experience more profound than anything I had ever encountered. The atmosphere surrounding Michael and me was laden with an unmistakable tension. Neither of us budged. Silence enveloped us both. In an instant, the stillness was broken by the creaking of the front door swinging open downstairs. We stood still. My heart quickened. I swiftly distanced myself from Michael. A surge of panic fills my chest. What had we just accomplished? What was unfolding between us? A wave of guilt enveloped me. Yet it was intertwined with another essence, a longing I could not dismiss. I found myself ensnared in the delicate space between the fleeting intimacy we had just experienced and the undeniable truth that we were caught in a complex web of connection. We found it difficult to reverse. Michael remained still for a moment. His gaze was firmly fixed upon me. Yet, his expression remained a mystery. The warmth radiated between us, palpable and undeniable. The persistent intimacy that still clung to the air.
Eva,
He murmured softly. His voice was taut. Before he had the chance to utter another word, the rhythmic sound of footsteps reverberated as they ascended the stairs. Michael heard a voice that struck me with instant familiarity. My heart plummeted. It was indeed Elizabeth. I sprang from the bed with haste. My breath comes in quick, shallow gasps. Uncertainty enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for direction. Thoughts surged through my mind, darting in every conceivable direction. Yet, I found myself at a loss for an escape from this predicament. Could I truly confront her after everything that had just transpired? The door to Michael's room slowly creaked open, and there she stood, Elizabeth, positioned in the threshold. A look of astonishment etched across her features. Her gaze danced between Michael and me. Perplexity etched across her face as she absorbed the unfolding tableau. "Is that you, Eva? Michael? What is happening in this moment?" she inquired. Her voice wavered with uncertainty, yet there lingered an additional element. A sudden insight, perhaps, that indicated to her that something was amiss. A wave of pallor washed over me, leaving my face devoid of color. Elizabeth's presence struck like a splash of icy water. In that fleeting instant, all seemed amiss. This was beyond explanation. There was no way to rationalize the events that had just unfolded between Michael and me. My throat constricted, a silent battle waged within me as I grappled with the elusive words.
we.
I stumbled over my words, at a loss for words. Michael, currently perched upon the bed, appeared equally adrift. He ran his hand along the nape of his neck, undeniably flustered. I find myself at a loss for words to convey it. Elizabeth shifted her gaze from him to me. In that moment, an unspoken understanding lingered between us. It felt as though, in that fleeting instant, all things transformed. Elizabeth sensed that something was amiss, something that ought not to have occurred. Yet, her response took me by surprise. Rather than feeling anger or disappointment, a profound silence enveloped the scene. A haunting melancholy lingered in her gaze. She entered the room. She closed the door behind her. She exuded an undeniable authority. And the room descended into an unusual stillness. A heavy stillness hung in the air. It resembles the serene moments that precede a tempest. "Sophie, it is essential for you to grasp a particular point," Elizabeth spoke softly. Her voice was more delicate than I had expected. "There exists a depth to this that you may not fully comprehend, beyond the comprehension of either of you." My gaze fell upon her. My mind is awash with confusion. What was her intention? What else remained? The silence hung in the air long after Elizabeth had departed. Her words lingered in the atmosphere. imprinting a lasting impression on us both. In the midst of all the chaos, her serene insight and willingness to guide me provided an unforeseen gift. Anticipation. Elizabeth felt no anger. She did not abandon us. Rather, she offered us an opportunity that seemed delicate and ambiguous. Yet it remains present. I cast a fleeting look at Michael. His expression was a blend of remorse and bewilderment, along with an elusive emotion that I couldn't fully grasp. He averted his eyes from mine. His hands fidgeted, rubbing together with an anxious energy. He bore the heavy burden of the events that had transpired. How our worlds had intertwined in the most unforeseen manner. Yet, the deeper I delved into the matter, as I came to understand, it became clear that none of this was part of anyone's design. Events had transpired in ways that eluded our grasp. One thing was certain: we could not turn a blind eye to it. We could no longer feign that nothing had transpired. Elizabeth was indeed correct regarding that matter. The emotions and uncertainty. All matters required attention. It was a confrontation that could not be avoided, approached directly. "Michael," I murmured. My voice quivered ever so slightly. "What shall we do next?" Michael cast his gaze in my direction. His eyes brimmed with a tapestry of emotions. "I'm uncertain."
Sophie.
Uncertainty envelopes my emotions. What should one contemplate? I'm uncertain whether I ought to feel anger, filled with a deep sense of shame, or if I'm permitted to experience any emotions whatsoever. His voice trembled, unveiling the conflict that resides within his expressions. He found himself caught in the throes of a profound bond we had forged, yet his allegiance to Elizabeth weighed heavily on his heart. His spouse. The matter could not be resolved in a single discussion. The situation was far from straightforward. With a steadying inhale, I approached him with purpose, bridging the gap that separates us. I felt compelled to connect with him, to offer solace in his time of need. Yet, uncertainty lingered within me, casting doubt on whether that was indeed the correct course of action. Uncertainty clouded my judgment, leaving me adrift in a sea of doubt. "I doubt we'll unravel all the mysteries at this moment," I spoke in a gentle whisper. "However, I believe it's essential for us to have a conversation, to engage in honest discourse with one another. This matter is far too intricate to overlook." Michael inclined his head with a measured, deliberate nod. His expression was grave, yet devoid of anger. "Indeed, I am aware. I'm uncertain about how to begin." As I grasped his hand, a silent connection formed between us. The contact, a blend of solace and an undercurrent of unvoiced feelings. We begin by acknowledging the events that transpired, the emotions we experienced, the emotions that linger within us. And then we discern what unfolds next. He nodded once more, his expression softened ever so slightly. "The path ahead will be fraught with challenges."
Sophie.
Yet I yearn for comprehension. I seek to comprehend the dynamics unfolding between us. I grasped his hand tightly. The touch was both soothing and laden with unexpressed feelings. All the answers elude me. "Michael, uncertainty looms over what lies ahead. Yet, I refuse to flee from this. Not any longer." We lingered in quietude for a brief moment, each adrift in their own reverie, struggling to unravel the complexities of all that had transpired. There was no clear way forward. There are no straightforward solutions. The feelings, the bewilderment, it was all so overwhelming. Yet, what Elizabeth extended to us was a beacon of hope, a realm where we confront all challenges unitedly, to face the chaos we had discovered ourselves amidst. I cast my gaze upon Michael once more, and for the very first time, no matter what unfolded in the moments to come, we shall confront it with unwavering honesty. A flawless solution eluded them. There is no straightforward solution to rectify the situation. Yet, a glimmer of hope remained, yearning for clarity and restoration, and perhaps for something beyond that. As I reclined, my mind is a whirlwind of possibilities. Elizabeth lingered in my thoughts, an uninvited guest in the corridors of my mind. Her calmness and her offer of understanding had opened a door I hadn't even known existed. She hadn't rejected us. She hadn't condemned us. Instead, she had given us room to breathe, room to process what had happened. But what would happen next? How would things unfold if we admitted the depth of what we still felt? Could we move forward, or would the weight of it all be too much? Those were questions for another time. Right now, it was just Michael and me, sitting together in the silence of our shared uncertainty. We both knew nothing would ever be the same again. The only thing we could do was take the next step, whatever that might be, and somehow, together, we would figure it out.